In the last video we did over the admin, we went over the detail page of dealing with our objects. In this video we're going to go over the list of objects that we have for specific models. If we'll refresh with our model, you can see we have our raw ID fields in our field set for our document admin. This is great for our detail view, but if we'll look at our list of objects, there's not really a lot that you can tell that's going on. First thing let's look at is the admin action bar up at the top, and in a previous video we went over how to actually create admin actions, and so I'll link to that in the show notes. For this video we're just going to look at the bar itself. As you can see, it's at the top and is available for us to use, and you would select it with checkboxes on the side and hit go. The question is, what if you didn't want it up there? Well, one thing is by default the actions on top is set to true, so that means that bar is going to be there by default. If we set this to false and look at our page, you can see it disappears and it gets rid of some of the formatting for our columns and it negates the need for our checkboxes. Unfortunately, those didn't disappear because the Django admin is only simply saying, hey, let's go ahead and remove it, instead of looking to maybe go ahead and remove all the components about it. However, if we'll go ahead and add the actions on the bottom to be equal to true, and we jump into our browser and refresh, you can see the action bar is at the bottom of the page, which can actually be a user experience help, because if you have 100 items in your list and you're clicking down through there, you get to the bottom. By default, the action bar isn't down there for you to go ahead and select what action and hit go, whereas in this way it would be. You can also go the next step further and set them both to true, and then now you actually have the action bar on top and on bottom, so whatever you're doing, you have it available to you. Let's go ahead and move on to make things a little more useful in actually finding the objects that you're looking for. The first thing let's do is let's use the list display property, and we're going to give it a tuple of fields that we want to use. In this case, we're going to use title, user, and public. And if we look at that in the browser, you can see we now have the title of it, we have the user listed, and we have whether that object is public or not. And as you can see, the Django admin has a nice, simple, understandable image for whether it's public or not. And just to go ahead and show you, the order in which you put the fields in the tuple actually matters. So if we'll flip public and user and look in our browser, you can see now public comes before user in our list view. Another nice thing that we get, even now that we have multiple fields, is you can do sorting. And it even shows you in which direction it sorts and the priority sort that it is in. So the next thing let's do is, what if we wanted to add something to this list view that does not exist on the model? It's actually fairly simple to do. If we'll go ahead and add blah to our list display, then we just add a method to our document admin object of blah, is to have self and object as the parameters, and then in this case we'll just return a string that says hello whoever the user is. So that way it has something a little bit dynamic if we have multiple users in our system. The next thing we want to do is we want to set the short description to be blah with a capital B. This is going to be the column header for us. And then we want to set the admin ordering field, so in case we do any ordering or sorting, it knows specifically what to sort by. In this case, we want to sort by the user's username. So we do something that we do with the Django ORM, and we just use the double underscore. So we use the user property. Since it's a foreign key, we do underscore underscore username, and then the Django ORM takes the rest of it. This is actually a very important concept to understand in the admin. A lot of times we're dealing with user objects and is going to make an ORM call, so you can just chain together using underscore underscore to get to the specific object that you want to do with whatever you want. This is just a quick example, and we'll show more in a future video. So with that, we should have a new column in our list view called blah. It should say hello whoever the user is. The column name should be blah, and the ordering should be by the username. So when we look at this in our browser, we have hello buddy, since that's the user. The sorting is there even though it doesn't look like it works because it's using the username and everyone's the same user. So that was a poor choice on my part. So again, order matters in the tuples. We're supposed to go ahead and add blah to the beginning so they can do something else. What we're going to do now is actually change what field links to our specific object. In this case, we move blah to the front, so we want to set blah as the field that links to our object. We could set them all, and then they would be all linkable, and you can click on anything to get to the object. So we refresh our page, blah is at the beginning, and we can now click on that instead of the title, which was set before. So the last thing that I want to show you is something that I don't necessarily think needs to be done too very often, but there may be a case off and on that you might use it. I would not recommend having this and letting non-developers use this feature. And that's using a list editable property. Instead of me trying to explain what it does, let's go ahead and take a look at it. In this case, we're going to set the title, user, and public fields to be list editable. If we look at it in our browser, you'll see now we have all these fields are editable in our list view. I'm sure you could probably figure that out from the name, but it's more powerful to actually see it. Now we can go into each of these individual areas and we can just start changing data around as much as we want. If we'll change the title and the public on one of them and hit save, you'll see in the message at the top, 2 documents were changed successfully. So now you can change lots of data really quick without having to open up each individual item. The caveat is that if you want something to be list editable, it needs to be in the list display and cannot be in list display links. That's one of the reasons that I moved the list display link to be blah and have the extra field in the list display above. So with that, that's basically what it takes to change how you view the information for each object in the list view of our objects. Please join us next time as we go over filtering the data that's in that list view so that you can get a better idea of how to get to the data you're specifically after.